This week's Monday Night Raw was top loaded with star power and actually had longer matches than SmackDown by about 5 times the amount. As such, it was actually a very good Raw. With a WWE Championship match and a lot of spitting up tar, I'm Tom Colohue and it's time for your WWE Raw review. Please take a moment to click subscribe if you haven't and like if you can, and we'll get started. This week's Raw was all about setting Lashley and Drew McIntyre onto a slow build collision course, which will seemingly kick in after Fastlane unless they finally come to grips next week. As such, the show started with Bobby Lashley cutting a promo after a hype package of what happened last week, and followed up very quickly with Bobby Lashley in a WWE Championship match before later on recapping that exact thing. The first match is the highest rated every single week. They are turning Bobby Lashley into a star, or at least they are putting all of their power behind it, hence the new entrance video. The match with The Miz was one of the shorter ones, and really it should have been given how The Miz was dominated last week, but it was a lot more competitive than it had been, and that added a lot to it. The Miz looked like briefly he had a chance before the moment came in which he very much did not. Bobby Lashley very clearly taking over and forcing The Miz to tap out clean as you like, no worries whatsoever. Bobby Lashley is being built, and it is sometimes referred to as an emergency build when they're putting someone into a match that may be above what they would normally be expected of, for example a main event of night 1 of WrestleMania, and they need to make someone look as good as possible as quickly as possible. He will be in match after match after match to make him look that good. The Miz from here will move on to the tag team match, he and John Morrison against Bad Bunny and Damian Priest. John Morrison of course may need a little more time to recover from his back injury, but that looks like he'll be back in action sooner rather than later. Bad Bunny only featuring very briefly, not in a backstage vignette, but in a commercial for something else. During the match between Lashley and The Miz, we did see Drew McIntyre backstage on a number of occasions, almost watching TV. You know, in that WWE way where they almost watch TV. He did a better job than most at doing it. At some point I just want to see someone planking and nowhere near the TV, just because it'll be funny, but I can't imagine I'll ever let someone do that. He was attacked by Sheamus in the middle of an interview backstage. This led into, straight after this, a no disqualification match between McIntyre and Sheamus, and my god, do these guys enjoy hurting each other. I thought the match last week was physical, certainly involved some strong style, but now they had weaponry, and they just delighted in beating the shit out of each other, to be completely blunt. There's no way around it. They both ended the show with their backs battered. Really physical Raw in general. Everyone stepped up a little bit. I think it's not just a case of thigh slaps being banned. I think people have been told to lay it in. And they did. The match ended in a no contest when both men charged into each other with steel steps, with their heads behind the steel steps. Not the smartest move, guys. Not the smartest move, but it didn't end as a double stretch job as I expected, but it was close enough. Close enough. No clear winner, but still a lot of fun. I would imagine we're going to get a third match maybe next week to decide a number 1 contendership for the WWE Championship. Also running through the show, Braun Strowman and Shane McMahon had their storyline in the second and third hour Raw segments. Shane McMahon initially came out, apologised to Braun Strowman and walked away, but then later in the night called him back out, called him stupid, ran away, and that was that. It's a very weird thing to do. Spoiler warning and all that jazz, but Shane McMahon versus Braun Strowman at WrestleMania looks pretty much set in stone. Vince, I know you're watching, you watch all these reviews, we all know that. Why? Xavier Woods rolled up and beat Shelton Benjamin in a match designed to get to a tag team championship match between the two teams. It looks like these are kind of the only 2 teams that the WWE remember are on Raw. I've always been of the opinion that if you can't have a great match in 15 minutes, you can't have a great match. Matt Riddle and Mustafa Ali have continued their feud, but Matt Riddle is now running the Retribution Gauntlet, meaning that within about 4 minutes Matt Riddle defeated Flapjack. It was a very fun match. They did a lot of very good stuff in 4 minutes, certainly more than anyone on SmackDown managed. Reginald is now back up for Nia Jax. I don't know why, but we are where we are in that regard. At the beginning of the third hour, we had our only women's match of the show and almost our only women's segment outside of Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke trying to rewrite history a little bit. We had the women's tag team match that had been promised for a long time, Naomi and Lana getting their championship shot against Jackson Baszler, but unfortunately coming up short. They got more than the 2 minutes they've had previously, but still, for International Women's Day, this was not enough. Finally, in our main event, after being mocked backstage by AJ Styles, Randy Orton challenged Styles to a match, and this was our main event, a very, very enjoyable main event and my personal match of the week. Styles and Orton have genuine chemistry. Unfortunately, the stakes were low in this one because we all knew exactly where it was going. For the end of the match, Randy Orton started spitting up the black tar, he started hearing the laugh of Alexa Bliss, AJ Styles hit the phenomenal forearm and got the win. This is how Raw closed, with Randy Orton prone after Alexa Bliss essentially took advantage. Raw's ending was a bit of a dud, which is par for the course this week, but for the rest of the show, Raw was actually very, very good. I really enjoyed this week's Raw. McIntyre and Sheamus are doing great work, putting on fantastic matches, reminding me of Rey Mysterio and Andrade in that the fans are really behind more, so they get more and they actually keep delivering, which is a rare thing. Bobby Lashley's build continues. He's looking like a very strong WWE champion, and I suspect he may keep the championship beyond WrestleMania. In the meantime, the Randy Orton storyline has not really evolved, but AJ Styles and Randy Orton put on an extremely good match. And AJ Styles has just been, week in, week out, putting on great wrestling matches. It's amazing to see, and I've really enjoyed it. I would give this Raw a B. I feel they could have used the women better, and there were certain matches, for example, Woods and Shelton Benjamin, that could have been a bit more. But overall, a very good show that I recommend watching, at least the main event as the best match for sure, but McIntyre versus Sheamus definitely up there and well worth watching as well. I'm glad they were given enough time to actually perform, unlike those on SmackDown. I've been Tom Colohue. Please remember to click subscribe, hit the notification bell and click like, and remember I will be doing watch-alongs of Raw and SmackDown over on twitch.tv/Tom Colohue. I look forward to seeing you there. For now, let me know what you thought of Raw in the comments, and I will see you next time.